Well, I think there are different ethical values to consider. So most countries now have decided to prioritize the most vulnerable people, which means the elderly, basically, like the UK, for example. But that is only one consideration among many that we need to make in order to have an effective and ethical rollout. For example, we might want to consider whether certain workers are at higher risk, for example, which is what France is apparently doing. And there are all sorts of other considerations. For example, we might want to consider the quality of life that people will have. Because the problem is that if we only consider vulnerability, we might end up with certain kind of decisions that clearly are not really in the public health interest and maybe not even in the individual interest. For example, here in the UK a few weeks ago, a person aged 108 has been vaccinated against COVID-19. And given limited availability, we really need to think carefully about whether that is a good use of a very, very limited resource so far, because other people who might need the vaccine more and might benefit more from the vaccine, for example, because they have a longer life expectancy, will not be able to get this vaccine now because of this decision. So we need to consider a broader range of values than we are currently doing.
But why do you think there is this focus on looking at or vaccinating the most vulnerable and elderly above the essential workers that you talked about in France? Why is there this focus on it, for example, in the UK?
Well, the focus is legitimate, so we need to protect these people from COVID-19 and prevent healthcare system to be overburdened. So if you target the most vulnerable, so you're protecting them and you prevent healthcare system from collapsing, which is a big problem here in the UK. But the thing is that there are alternative measures that we can consider alongside vaccination strategies to protect these people and the public health system, and also maximize the public health benefit of the vaccine. So yes, we should protect the vulnerable as best as we can. Yes, we should prevent healthcare system from being overburdened by COVID-19 patients. We need to think whether prioritizing the most vulnerable is actually the best strategy to achieve that goal.
And Alberto, what about the situation where people can pay to jump the queue? What impact do you think that would have?
I think that should be prohibited, at least as long as the availability of the vaccine is limited, because that might compromise whatever public health goal we are pursuing with vaccination strategies. So the key point here is that availability is limited. So we need really to maximize the public health benefit of the vaccine, and which means targeting certain specific groups. We need to decide which group to target first. But if we allow people to have priority access to the vaccine just because they are wealthy, so wealth is not really a criterion that maximizes the public health benefit. So that can compromise public health strategies with vaccination rollout. So I think that should be prevented. I don't think that is about to happen anytime soon in any country, but we need to keep an eye on that because that will be really detrimental to vaccination policies.